Good morning, everyone. We are going to learn for the next few minutes the beginning of Parshas Yisro, this week's portion, which is the portion where the Jewish people receive the Torah. But there's a little introduction to that. Here it is. As will be recounted shortly, the people left Rephidim and journeyed a short distance to Mount Sinai. Because of all that had happened since Moses left him, Yitro, that means his father-in-law, the former ruler of Midian, took special pride in being Moses' father-in-law. When he heard about the splitting of the sea and the war with Amalek, and that the Jews were so successful, he came to meet the Israelites shortly after they camped at Mount Sinai. Besides these two events, which motivated him to join the Israelites in the desert, Yitro also heard about all that God had done for both Moses and for his people Israel. Moses' spiritual stature being equal to that of the rest of the people combined. Specifically, how he provided them with the manna and the well, that means that miraculous water, right? How he repulsed Amalek, and most of all, that God had brought Israel out of Egypt. In other words, he's saying over here in this verse that he heard all about what God had done for Moses and the people of Israel. He equates Moses with the people of Israel. That's why he says here that he was as great as all the Jewish people combined. Anyway, so Yitro, Moses' father-in-law, took Moses' wife Zipporah after she had been sent away, and her two sons. The name of the older one was Gershon, a stranger there, which means a stranger there, because Moses had said, I've been a stranger in an alien land. That's why he gave him the name Gershon. And the name of the younger one was Eliezer, which means my God is an aid. Because Moses had said, the God of my father came to my aid, and he rescued me from Pharaoh's sword. So the two names of his sons reflected two important aspects of Moshe's life. Now, when he says over here that Zipporah, after she had been sent away, what that means is, originally Zipporah went with Moshe to Egypt, but then he told her to go back to Midian till the Exodus, because it wasn't a good place, Egypt. So you sent her back home. Yitro, Moses' father-in-law, came to Moses together with Moses' sons and his wife, leaving the comforts of his home to go into the desert where Moses was encamped, to the mountain of God, Mount Sinai. So he left all his comforts, and he chose God to join the Jewish people over there at Mount Sinai. He sent word to Moses, your father-in-law Yitro, I'm on my way to you. So please come out to greet me. If you do not consider my being your father-in-law a sufficient reason for you to honor me, please be informed that I am coming together with your wife. So for her sake you should come out and greet us. If this is still not enough, know that she is coming with her two sons. So come out for their sakes. Moses went out to greet his father-in-law. In other words, to him his father-in-law was a good enough reason to go and greet him. When Aaron and his sons saw Moses go out, they followed him, and of course the rest of the people then followed suit. So Yitro was thus recorded great honor. Moses prostrated himself and kissed Yitro. They inquired after each other's welfare, and they entered the tent. This was after a long hiatus. They haven't seen each other for a long time. In order to encourage him to join the ranks of the Jewish people, because remember, Yitro was not a Yid. He wasn't Jewish. It's at this point where he will convert to become a Jew. Moshe was encouraging him to join the ranks of the Jewish people. Moses told his father-in-law everything that God had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for the sake of Israel, as well as the travail that had befallen them on the way at the Sea of Reeds and in the attack of Amalek, and how God had rescued them. Yitro rejoiced over all the good that God had done for Israel by having provided them with manna and the well, the miraculous water, then teaching them parts of the Torah. So he was very happy, but he rejoiced most that God had saved them from the hands of the Egyptians. It was reputedly impossible to escape Egypt, yet here an entire nation had succeeded in fleeing. So that's the wonder that he was so happy. That was what he was so happy about. At the same time, Yisro was pained over the suffering of the Egyptians. For being a Midianite, he was of Egyptian stock. So that bothered him a little bit too. When Yisro heard how the Egyptians had drowned in the sea of reeds and had suffered the very fate that they had wished to inflict upon the Jews, he said, "Praised be God who rescued you from both the hands of the Egyptians, a difficult people, and of Pharaoh, a difficult king, and who liberated the people from the authority of the Egyptians. Now I know that God is greater than all the deities, and I am familiar with them all." He was an idol worshiper of the highest. I mean, he wasn't an idol or a philosopher, a pagan deity that he did not explore. So he knew it all. And he said, now that he's discovered God, he said, this is the greatest of all the deities, for he has done what no other deity can do. He has foiled a nation's intent by turning the very scheme that they plotted against others against themselves. In order to complete the story of Yisro, the Torah now jumps ahead 4 months to 10 Tishrei of the following year. So now it jumps to post-Sinai, when Moses descended Mount Sinai for the last time. And when Moses descended the mountain, Yisro offered up an ascent offering and peace offering to God, and Aaron and all the elders of Israel came to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law, while Moses served them. The religious atmosphere and discussion at this meal rendered it a holy event. As such, it was as if the participants were eating in the presence of God. Okay, as the Mishnah says, that when someone eats a meal, and at that meal they say words of Torah, God is present. So it's okay, 13. It was on the following day, the 11th of Tishrei, that Moses sat. That's the day after Yom Kippur. That Moses sat to judge the people, assisted by Aaron, his sons, and the 70 elders. All the people stood respectfully around Moses as he judged the litigants. Moses spent only part of the day adjudicating disputes, but since he did so honestly and correctly, God considered it as if he had toiled in this task from morning to evening. The same holds true for any honest judge. When he's honest and he does it right, God considers it as if this is something that he does it all the time, and he gives him the credit for that. When Moses' father-in-law saw all that Moses was doing to the people, letting them stand while he sat, he said, "What is this thing that you are doing to the people? Why are you alone seated, while all the people stand around you as if from morning until evening? It is only in a king's presence that everyone is required to stand. In a judge's presence, only the litigants are required to stand, but not everyone else." So Moses replied to his father-in-law, "It is not because I want to comport myself like a king. It is because the people come to me to seek instruction from God. Whenever one of them has a legal matter, he comes to me, and I judge between a man and his fellow, and I make known God's rules and teachings. I received the teachings directly from God, and by teaching the people myself, I can share with them something of my own experience of divine revelation. My objective is not to simply teach them the dry laws, but rather to impart to them the underlying divinity of these laws. This is why I teach them myself and have them stand in my presence." In other words, Yisro was criticizing the whole process. That one man, Moses, is doing all the judging. He's doing everything. It makes no sense. You're going to wear yourself out. You're going to wear the people out. It's not a plan. That was Moses' answer, that I'm trying to impart to them, direct from God. I'm the man that received it, so it's better that I give it over to them. Yeah. But Moses' father-in-law said to him, "What you are doing is not good. You will surely wear yourself out, you yourself, as well as the Aaron, the 70 elders, and this entire people that is with you. For this matter is too weighty for you. You will not be able to do it alone. Therefore listen to me. I will give you advice, and then consult with God as to whether to accept it. Implement my plan only if God agrees with you, as you present it. Here is my plan. He gives them the following plan. You be the people's representative before God, and you convey the cases they bring to you to God when it is necessary to inquire of Him, meaning of God, how to judge a case. You will caution the people regarding the rules and the teachings, and inform them of the path they should follow and the deeds they should do in general. You should indeed teach the Torah to the people yourself, in order, as you said, to impart to them your experience of having received it directly from God. So in terms of a teacher, the basic laws of the Torah, of course, you should be the one to pass it on, to give it over. But when it comes to time to apply the Torah's teaching to legal cases, this should be done by individuals who are on the people's level and can therefore relate the Torah to them. Nonetheless, in order to ensure that these teachers and their successors throughout all your ensuing generations transmit your teachings faithfully, you must select these teachers by means of your prophetic vision. Thus, you must discern from among all the people men who are well established, not needing to ingratiate themselves with anyone. They don't need anyone's money, and who possess the following 7 qualities. They are God-fearing. They are men who command respect on account of their integrity. They hate money, that is, they are sufficiently unattached to their wealth that if they owe someone something, it is not necessary to bring them to court to get them to pay. Anyone more attached to his money than this can be easily bribed and is therefore unfit to be a judge. This is amazing. If only we could apply this. They are righteous, insightful, able to deduce new laws from legal precedent, and of good reputation. Appoint these individuals over the people as leaders of thousands, leaders of hundreds, leaders of 50s, and leaders of tens. Now, he's made a whole hierarchy. The leaders themselves should also have access to judicial authority in case if they need it. Thus, since there are 600,000 adult men, appoint 600 leaders of thousands, then 6,000 leaders of hundreds, and 12,000 leaders of 50s, and 60,000 leaders of 10. That means every 10 people should have a minor leader. Every 50 should have a one over the 5, and then over of that group, and then higher and higher until it comes to Moses. They will judge the people at all times. They will bring every major case to you. The major cases they should bring to you, and they will judge every minor case themselves to ease your burden by sharing it with you. If you do this, and God so commands, you will be able to bear up. And all the people who are presently helping you judge the people as well, Aaron, his sons, and the 70 elders will be able to come home after that day's work unwearied. Otherwise, you're going to be 24, you're not going to be able to, it's not going to be practical. Let's just wrap this up. Moses heeded the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he had said. Moses chose well-established men from among all Israel and appointed them as heads over the people, leaders of thousands, leaders of hundreds, leaders of 50s, and leaders of 10s. From this point on, they judged the people at all times. They did every difficult case they would bring to Moses, and every minor case they would judge themselves, like a Supreme Court. You have an appellate court and then the Supreme, Jethro remained with the Israelites for over 7 months after this in order to supervise the implementation of his plan. When they were able to leave Mount Sinai on the 20th of the year later in 2449, he decided to return to Midian to convert his family to Judaism before rejoining the people on their journey into the land of Israel. Satisfied that Jethro had successfully completed the task of setting up a judicial system for the people, Moses sent off his father-in-law, and thus Jethro set out on his way to his homeland. And with this, we will conclude here.
Quick question, Rabbi.
Yeah.
You said Yitro was one of Pharaoh's advisors.
Prior, yeah.
Okay, so if he was one of the advisors, he knew what had happened.
He knew what was being planned, because Pharaoh consulted Jethro way back when he was putting into plan the, how to deal with the Jews who became so proliferated, became so big and so numerous. So he consulted with his advisors, and Yisro was one of them. That's what forced Yisro to flee Egypt, because he opposed the plan that Pharaoh was going to put in place. He made it's like they made, Pharaoh's onesie conference, He was the final solution. He was going to get rid of he wanted to destroy the Jewish people. And Yisro said, you can't do that. So Pharaoh didn't like that. He was going to have him killed, so he fled to Midian.
And then he was ruler of Midian?
He became they hired him, he was considered like a big priest and a big, he was a very well-established, respected noble, he was from the nobility over there, yeah. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a wonderful day. And it's Tu B'Shvat today, so have a joyful Tu B'Shvat. It's customary to eat fruits of the 7 species that Israel was blessed, which are what?
Fruits.
Which fruits?
Figs,
dates, pomegranates, grapes, and olives. And then, of course, wheat and barley. But those are not fruits, those are grain. So if you can get your hands on a fig or a date or a pomegranate today, it's a mitzvah.
I think last week I bought a whole thing of dates.
All right, good night, good day, everyone. Bye-bye.